Taylor works faster than the devil himself. It's concerning how sad that album is. And that's why it's my favorite. It's mental illness, love. Hello Swifties. For real this time. First of all, happy sweater weather to everyone who celebrates. Personally, I'm not a big fan, but it is what it is. So, as you could probably tell by the title of this video, I'm going to be recommending books. I'm off center, aren't I? Better, I think. I'm going to be recommending books based on Taylor Swift albums. It's kind of like a, if this is your favorite, read this kind of thing, but I have to admit that I took all of these off my read shelves. It's going to be different than the usual ones, I hope, although there's some very predictable ones in there. Anyways, do I need to clarify anything beforehand? I feel like I do. I'm gay, if that wasn't obvious from everything else that's going on here. So if you're new here and you came here because you wanted some book racks based on Taylor Swift albums, you came to the right place, but you will have to keep in mind that most of these books are gay. That is not to say anything about Taylor's sexuality. That's just saying everything about mine. So please don't come for me. We're all friends here. Now that's out of the way. Also, another thing I have to say is I've had these books lined up for months, waiting for the perfect opportunity to make this video. And then Taylor was like, bitch, you need to hurry up because I'm not done yet. So yeah, I have 9 books right here. And then I have some more that will be predictions for the vibes of Midnights that I'm getting so far. Okay, so the first one, self-titled, debut, Taylor Swift, 2006. Not 26, that's weird. We're just diving straight into it. I haven't talked about this book on my channel yet. This is A Miseducation of Cameron Post, and I love this book. This used to be my favorite. I don't think it is anymore, but I've literally read this book to pieces. I have some markers in here because I'm doing another video on it soon. Okay, first of all, Taylor Swift's self-titled album. It's a country album, right? I don't know if you can tell, but we've got some country vibes going on over here. This book is about cowgirls. Lesbian cowgirls. Other than that, I think that this album is thematically her most varying album. It's the one that has the most going on out of all of them, I would say. Folklore and Evermore also kind of have a lot going on, but this one, it deals not just with love, but it also deals with being an outsider, being in love for the first time, getting heartbroken for the first time, being betrayed by people that you thought you could trust, having friends going through things that you don't feel capable of helping them with, and also secret relationships. And all of those things, well, most of those things, are things that Cameron also deals with in this book. Although Cameron does also deal with a bit more than just that. I would say Cameron is a bit more pragmatic about all of these things than Taylor was when she wrote this album. But still, I think she would appreciate it. You know what? I think Cameron Post would like Taylor Swift's debut album, Cold As You, and that letter from Cody, If You Know, You Know. That was cold as shit. But other than that, lesbian cowgirls. Then, onto Fearless, 2008 and also 2021, yeah? 9th of April, I'll never forget that. Anyway, bear with me for this one. I wanted to pick something YA, because obviously Taylor was 18 when this album came out. It had to have kind of like a young vibe, but I don't have a lot of YA books anymore, and I'd already given up this one, so I took the only other one that I had. But bear with me here. Also, some people would say that this is not a YA book, but I'm sorry, you know I disagree. I chose Dare Me. Okay, listen to me. This might sound like a reach, but she is literally cheer captain. There's no one on the bleachers though. They are both cheerleaders. The thing is, I don't really see this from Addie's point of view. This book is from Addie's point of view. Actually, I'm not sure if I'm recommending this book or if I'm telling you to watch a show on Netflix, but Fearless is Beth's point of view in this friendship. It's a friendship. Anyway, it's a teen friendship that gets complicated, as teen friendships between girls do sometimes. This whole album is about unrequited love. This whole book, if you look at it from the right perspective, is also all about unrequited love. It has that friendship, it builds up to a very intense kind of romance, and then there's this really big heartbreak. But this book, I would say, is a bit darker than the album Fearless is. I mean, Beth apparently literally cannot breathe without Eddie, so. But also, you know what? I am just sick and tired of Eddie's attitude. Her attitude, if you will. You know, she's not even sorry. That's the worst part. She doesn't give a fuck. She doesn't see what she's doing to Beth. There's also a lot of jumping and falling because they're cheerleaders. And also, last thing I'll say is there's a rain kiss. I don't remember if that was in the book. Watch the show. Anyway, the next one is also a bit of a reach. We're moving on to Speak Now, 2010. I'm waiting. I want to listen to Enchanted without feeling guilty again. I do that all the time secretly because you know what? You can't just tell me not to listen to Enchanted for however long. No, I'm gonna want to listen to Enchanted every now and then. Okay? Thank you. Anyway, the vibe of Speak Now is very like romantic, but it's also quite whimsical. Do we all agree? Like it kind of feels like a fairy tale. So I didn't choose a fairy tale. No, what I chose instead is The Strange and Beautiful Sorrows of Ava Lavender. This is also one of my favorites, and I feel like we don't talk about this anymore, and I don't know why. I think it was quite big on like the book blogospheres. I don't know what was relevant in the time that this was relevant, but we've stopped talking about this one, and I want to keep talking about it. And that's why I'm bringing it up. Not entirely randomly, I would say. I have my reasoning. This book is in no way as romantic as Speak Now is as an album. However, this is kind of an ode to women and family, and a family full of women. It follows 3 generations of women in Ava's family. And so for everything that they go through, I mean, most of the songs on Speak Now will probably fit the vibe of some of those parts in this book. Except maybe Superman. Although Superman does fly. I didn't tell you what this book is about, did I? This book is about a girl who's born with wings. Why? I don't know. What happens to her? Read to find out. However, I do need to give you a big content warning for sexual assault, because there is a not fun to read sexual assault scene in here. Aside from that, it's a very good book. Next up, Red, 2012. Red was my favorite for the longest time, simply because Red was the first one that I started actively listening to as a fan. So yeah, that one kind of has me in a chokehold still. Although, no, you know what, I don't want to talk about the re-recording. The bonus tracks are great. That's all I'll say. Anyways, I chose an avant-garde one, if you will. Now, if you like Red, you are a sad bitch. So, for Red, I chose Bluettes by Maggie Nelson. You didn't see that coming, did you? This book is about heartbreak and loneliness post-heartbreak, and it's told by vignettes that are about the color blue. So one thing they have in common is that they compare heartbreak and feelings in general to color. Losing him was literally blue like you'd never know. This shade specifically. I made a note of a certain passage that reminded me of All Too Well, so I guess I have to read that now. For to wish to forget how much you loved someone, and then to actually forget, can feel at times like the slaughter of a beautiful bird who chose by nothing short of grace to make a habitat of your heart. I agree, that does remind me of I Forget About You Long Enough to Forget Why I Needed To. I did add that it reminded me of All Too Well normal version, not the 10-minute version, which I also don't want to talk about. Anyways, next one. 1989 was also my favorite for a very long time. The height of Taylor hype. It was great times, best of times, worst of times. No, they came after. Anyways, here comes Hold Your Horses. You're a fool if you thought I wasn't gonna do it. This is also one of my favorite books. Do I need to explain what this is about? No, I don't. I really don't need to explain what this is about. You might be surprised that I brought it up for 1989, but first of all, let's not pretend that most of this book takes place in New York. And let's also not pretend that half of 1989 takes place in LA. Okay? It's 2 a.m. in your car. She says LA somewhere in that. New York, LA. there we go. That was number one of my reasoning. Also, Evelyn and her last spouse, no spoilers, get back together, or get together, who knows, in 1989. Literally. 1989 is all about this secret relationship that's hidden from the public, which, you know what, I don't think I have to explain, because I feel like Gaylor's made this book popular. But also, aside from that, there's also a lot of heartbroken songs about coming out of a pretty toxic relationship on this album, and I think that that suits the vibe of Evelyn post-Dawn quite well. So yeah, it's not all the first thing on our minds, right? It actually does fit the album quite well. But I assume we all agree on this. The last time that I read this, I counted 22 Taylor Swift references, which is amazing of its own. Anyway, that was only after Lover came out. So I have some catching up to do, because I feel like the inspiration cycle is endless. So, by the way, I marked all the pages that are just Evelyn's story, because next time I read this, I will not be reading about Monique. On to the next one. Reputation. The man, the myth, the legend. What an era. What a time. So what I'm going to do here is either going to come as a complete surprise, or it's going to be the most logical thing ever, because you did probably not think that we were going through a Taylor Swift themed video without mentioning Miss Sally Rooney. Even I did it. Now, hear me out. I pick normal people because I love normal people. I don't like conversations with friends, and I don't want to talk about it. This one is better anyway. This one, just like this one, is about a quiet, deep-rooted, hidden relationship between two people that carefully nurture each other throughout the years. Rip my soul out, why don't you? I do realize that normal people does not have a lot of bad bitch energy, but here's my argument. Neither does Reputation. Lyrically, Reputation is not that bad of a bitch. Let's be real. She tries very hard, just like Sally Rooney sometimes tries a bit too hard, but overall it's just a very delicate album. And so is this book. It's delicate. You get it, right? If any Gaylors are watching this, angry at me that I gave the gayest album to a straight romance, you have to hear me out on this one, because Connell and Marianne are my favorite straight people on earth. They are the only straight people who deserve rights, in my honest opinion, and that's why I believe that they deserve a slice of New Year's Day, even if that means that they also get to have dress with it. I'm sorry. No, I'm not, actually. They deserve it. Connell is an honorary lesbian, okay? Now we get what I would like to call the outsider, Lover. A very confusing time for everyone involved. What was going on? I don't know. And do you know what else? I had no idea what was going on while I was reading this book, Love and Other Thought Experiments. One of my favorites. So good. But did I get what was going on? No. This book is about an ant who crawls into an eye, or not. Maybe that's impossible. You have to read to find out. It's also about gay people. It's about a modern family, about AI supremacy, and it's about space travel. So I feel like that kind of covers the chaos that is the Lover tracklist. Because bestie, what the fuck was that? There's a bit of Lover in here. There's a bit of Soon You'll Get Better in here. There's a bit of I Forgot That You Existed. There's a bit of Afterglow. There's a bit of Daylight. No context given. You have to read this book, because I recommend it to everyone and their mom, because it's so good. Read this. Read it. Now, this surprisingly was actually the hardest part. Folklore. My love, my girl, this was my favorite album as soon as I heard the opening notes of the one. I had already heard The Cardigan, but like still impressive, honestly. The one I went with, I think if you've been on the booktube sphere before, you probably are not surprised, but it's Upstream by Mary Oliver, because look at that cover. Does that not scream folklore? This is a book of essays about retreating into nature and doing nothing but bathing in the craft of writing. And I feel like that is exactly what was going on with Folklore. They both have very calm vibes. There is this appreciation of solitude. It feels very grown up, which after Lover was something that we needed. And yeah, this book is definitely serving that too. A lot of life lessons are shared in here. Then on to my actual favorite album. This one actually took me 2 days to become my favorite. Evermore, the love of my life. If Taylor doesn't appreciate her, I will. I will make it my job to appreciate Evermore. That's why I assigned it a book that means very much to me. A lot of people would not agree with that sentiment, but that's on them. It's The Well of Loneliness by Radcliffe Hall. This book is about a lesbian, possibly a trans person, living at the turn of the 20th century. They're very lonely and they're very sad. Well, the reason I chose this mostly is because I wrote this a month or so before Folklore came out. And when I was listening to Folklore, this book was all I could think about because it just has that same vibe. But the reason I didn't put it with Folklore is because Evermore, her twin sister, has a bit more of that lonely vibe that this book so perfectly captures. So if you think about it, Evermore really is just a well of loneliness. It's like an alternative title. This book deals with isolation and estrangement, and I feel like a lot of those themes we see also on Evermore. It's concerning how sad that album is. And that's why it's my favorite. So those were all my recommendations for albums that were already out. Like I said, I had these books ready for the right moment ages ago. But, you know, Taylor works faster than the devil himself, so we need to hurry the fuck up and get with the program. So I decided to add some books to the pile to make some predictions about what Midnights is going to be like. First of all, the vibe of all these pictures that we're getting, they are very cool. I love them. I think like the most prevalent one, if anybody is doing like a predictions compared to books, does anyone do that? I don't know. But if they did, they were going to say Daisy Jones and the Six. 70s. Am I right? Manifesting a rock era. I want it. Give it to me. Can we talk about the makeup? Can we talk about the clothes? I can't fucking wait for this album. I'm kind of scared that she's like randomly going to drop the lead single this Friday when I upload this. But it's Taylor, so you literally never know what's going on at this point. So another prediction that I have, you did not honestly think I was going to make this whole video without mentioning Jeanette Winterson once. If this is your first video of mine, you probably did think that, but if you know me, you didn't think that. I'm gonna go with this one, Written on the Body. This one is about a person who has an affair with a married woman. You know, Taylor seems to really enjoy a good marital mess these days. So, but then also there is a breakup that's kind of like out of control of both people involved. There's more going on there, and it causes some sleepless nights. I was also going to recommend Norwegian Wood because mental illness, but I didn't mention any male writers this whole video, and I thought I would just keep it that way. So that was all. If you didn't get any recommendations out of this, at least come talk to me about the books that you like. Which books would you recommend alongside which Taylor albums? I'm really curious because this was actually quite hard. I'm currently not taking any recommendations because I am stressed. I'm reading too much for uni. I'm actually doing this right now instead of doing homework, so that's how I'm doing. Thanks for watching. Don't forget to read So Much Blues. I was going to mention that in the video, but I couldn't find an album. I think it was going to be Reputation, but I decided against it. But do read So Much Blues. I will give you the link in the description box. You can download it for free and it's illegal, so do that. Read it and talk to me about it. My recommendation is Taylor Swift, by the way. So I'm probably going to be doing bi-weekly update. Is that when you upload only once every 2 weeks or twice a week? Because the latter is absolutely not what I meant. Yeah, I'm gonna aim for uploading once every 2 weeks. Don't know if I will make that happen yet, but we will see. We're off to a good start anyways. I'll see you next time. And hopefully by then Midnights isn't out yet, but maybe the lead single. Let's hope for the best. Bye! I forgot to make a thumbnail. She has too many albums.